Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, professor of physics at Luther College, bringing you the very next in our series of What to Look For in the Night Sky, July 8th, 2024, this time around. Turns out that every week that we're out there still able to look at the night sky is the best week ever. But this is, we always have something great, but this really is. There's just a great series of things for us to look at, so it's wonderful. The moon starts the week not too full. By the end of the week, it's over half full and starting to become a problem for observing things. So as we talk about Ophiuchus here later on, and you want to get out and observe some faint objects, I do that more in the first half of the week than in the second half of the week. But we have a couple of interesting things coming up here. On the 13th into the morning of the 14th, we're really talking about the evening of the 13th. The moon passes right in front of, it occults Spica. That is a bright star to be occulted by the moon. So this is a great thing to see, and it's visible from most of the United States. So where I am in Iowa, in the middle of the United States, this occultation is going to start about 10 o'clock in the evening. So about 10 o'clock in the evening of the 13th, you go out, the moon's about half full. At that time, you can watch the moon pass in front of this very bright star. The bright star just is going to go bloop, and it's gone, okay? And about an hour and 10, 15 minutes later, it's going to come back. So sometime after 11 o'clock, it's going to pop out on the other side. These are both great things to see. Watch it disappearing and watch it come back. Spica, brightest star in Virgo. So you find the handle of the Big Dipper. We like to say the Big Dipper arcs to Arcturus, the bright star in Boetes, and then you spin on down to Spica. So you follow that curve of the handle of the Big Dipper to the next bright star you come to, that's Arcturus, and then you spin on down to Spica. About 10 o'clock in the evening, just to get dark. You know, it's getting good, solid dark at that time. Great to see. It doesn't have to be solid dark to see this, but this is really good. Next night, but in the morning, so in the morning of the 15th, Mars, we talked about last week, Saturn has entered retrograde motion. So the stars, the planets like to move easterly against the background stars. Every now and then as we catch up and pass them, we see them turn around and start to move westerly against the background stars, and Saturn has started that, and we're measuring its motion relative to Phi Aquarii. We don't have that up here this week because it's barely moving. As it turns around and starts back, the motion is very slow. So it's going to pick up speed here. So maybe starting as early as next week, we can go back and track Saturn's motion relative to Phi Aquarii. It's going to be great. But this week, Mars is still moving easterly. Mars is still in prograde motion, moving easterly against the background stars. And because it's so much closer to us than the outer planets, the other planets, it moves very fast relative to the other outer planets. And it has caught up with Uranus. And this is a fantastic opportunity on the morning of the 15th. This area rises at about 2 in the morning. So anytime after 2 in the morning, for me, I'll be able to go outside and I will be able to see Mars sitting less than a half a degree below Uranus. Uranus is about just brighter than 6th magnitude. So really close to the edge of naked eye visibility for most people. And so a pair of binoculars is going to show this beautifully. You're going to see a star, what looks like a sort of greenish bluish star sitting just above Mars in your binocular field of view, and that's going to be Uranus. So that's an opportunity for you to see these two planets there together. You have a small telescope, go out and find Mars and just slide up to the northwest a little bit, and you're going to find Uranus really quickly there. You might even get them in the same telescope. If you have a wide field of view, you'll be able to get them in the same eyepiece, and Uranus will be the brightest object in there other than Mars. So that's a great thing. Be sure to check these things out. The moon blotting out a really bright star, Spica, and Mars sitting right next to a faint planet Uranus that's not always that easy to find. So this is your chance to get out there and observe it. Now, when we're taking advantage of the dark skies early in the week, in the evening skies, we've got the summer triangle. We look at the summer triangle a lot this time of year. Deneb, Vega, and Altair. Big triangle, big triangle in the sky. Now for me, and I know I've told you this before, I sometimes like to make it a quadrilateral with Rosselhag, the brightest star at Ophiuchus. And we looked at the southern part of Ophiuchus a couple of weeks ago. So you can go back to the beginning of June. So 3 or 4 weeks ago probably is when we did this. I don't remember when we did this. I wrote it down. I looked it up, and I still don't remember. But we talked about the stars in the southern part down next to Sagittarius and Scorpius. Ophiuchus is this big, beautiful, sprawling constellation, a serpent handler. Serpens cauda, the head of the snake, and Serpens caput on the other side, the tail of the snake. So you can see Ophiuchus holding the snake with the head out on one end and the tail out on the other end. big constellation that sits above Sagittarius and Scorpius, but Rasselhag is a 2.1 magnitude star, bright star. Not as bright as these stars, but bright enough that it pops out with the other stars to look something like a quadrilateral rather than a summer triangle. Now, if you go from Vega down to Rasselhag and go about half that distance again on down. Rasselhag's the brightest star in Ophiuchus, the alpha star. You come to the beta star, a 2.8 magnitude star, so still a good bright star is Sebelrai is out there. You know, some days you can talk and some days you get excited. You're thinking about the stuff to come and you can talk, and you can't talk other days. It's okay. You just keep going forward. So anyway, it's a nice bright star, not as bright as these other stars, getting a little bit fainter. So you drop down here and then go almost straight south that same distance again, and you come to a globular star cluster, M14. We were looking at globular star clusters. These are these big star clusters with 500,000 stars in them that live in the direction of the center of our galaxy. And we were looking at these a few weeks ago. We were looking at Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus, this is the direction of our center of galaxy. We see lots of these. M14 is another good example of a big bright one. M10, so you drop down there and then move to the west a little bit more than that distance. You come to M10, and just above there, M12. So these are some good, big, bright globular star clusters for you to check out in this region of the sky. If you want a challenge, you drop down here from Rasselhag to Sebelrai, and then you move across this direction to the Gamma star, a 3.8 magnitude star in Ophiuchus. And you have NGC 6426 is a much, much fainter and harder to see globular star cluster. You got your telescope out and you want to try that. It lies within 1 degree of Gamma Ophiuchus. So within 1 degree there, you've got NGC 6426 as a great great globular star cluster to try to check out. Now, pop back up to the alpha star, Rasselhag, our 4th star in the summer quadrilateral, and move over about the same distance you dropped down, about half this distance from Vega to Rasselhag, but move back this direction more to the east, and you come to the star 3.7 magnitude star. 3.7, 3.8 for Gamma. These are stars that are bright enough to see, so they're really noticeable stars, but they're not real bright stars. Think about the Little Dipper, a star brightness. You have 72 Ophiuchi. And so 72 Ophiuchi is right there. Just up above there, a couple of degrees to the north and the west is NGC 6525. This is an open star cluster, but it's an interesting open star cluster in the sense that it is really hard. You look toward the center of the galaxy, there's stars everywhere. So this is a slight enrichment of the region of the stars, and mostly you detect these by proper motion or maybe measuring the colors of the stars. So I go and I look this cluster up in this book, great book, if you want to know stuff about star clusters, you go check this out. And I look it up, and it doesn't even tell me how many stars are in it. We basically don't know anything. This is, we know very little, very poorly studied cluster of stars right there. Will you be able to even detect? It's big. I don't know if you'll even be able to detect. You have a big wide field view, a low power eyepiece on your telescope, and see if you can tell that there are more stars in there than you might detect otherwise. But remember, there's stars everywhere when you look in this direction, and so it's hard to do. But you want a challenge, you want something fun, you want to try something different, go see if you can observe NGC 6525. So check this part out. Check Ophiuchus out here this week. We're looking at the northern portion of it more, down into the central portion of it with these globular star clusters, as opposed to the very southern part that we were looking at a few weeks ago. Be sure to check out Mars next to Uranus, and be sure to watch the moon occulting Spica. That's what we got for you this week, everybody. As always, thanks for watching, and have a great week ahead.